Okay,
Good evening, everyone. With the time being 6:00 p.m. on May 7th, 2025, I will call this meeting of the Webster School Committee to order. And as a reminder, on March 28th of 2025, Governor Haley signed into law a bill that extends the temporary provisions pertaining to the open meeting law. It's now been extended to June 30th of 2027. And specifically, this further extension allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the public body physically present at the meeting location, and to provide adequate alternative access to remote meetings. In this case, we've provided a Zoom link for this meeting for folks to join if they so wish. The language doesn't make any substantive changes to the open meeting law other than extending the expiration date of the temporary provisions from March 31st of this year to June 30th of 2027. So as I mentioned, those who wish to participate could have accessed the meeting using the Zoom link. And in addition to that, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the district site. So with that being said, the first item on our agenda is a reorganization of the Webster School Committee. So as you may know, Sheila Blythe's last meeting with the Webster School Committee was last month. I would first of all, once again, like to thank her for her years of service, not only as a school committee member, also as vice chair and as a member of the Bartlett High School School Building Committee. And due to the recent election, we do have a new member. Welcome, Lauren Caleros, to the Webster School Committee. We're glad to have you.
Thank you so much.
Lauren is a parent of a student in our district, and she's also a public education leader here in Central Massachusetts. So we're very lucky to have your time and talent here. So in light of these changes in the composition of the committee, we do need to reorganize our committee. We'll be seeking nominations for the chair, the vice chair, and the recording secretary. So currently I have been serving as chair. Sheila Blythe was serving as vice chair, and Nick Adamopoulos is the secretary. So with all of that background, is there anyone interested in serving as chair, or anyone like to make a nomination for chair?
Through the chair,
Member Adamopoulos?
I would like to make a nomination that Ms. Siddiqui remain as chair going into the next year.
second,
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Mrs. Perangeli, would you please poll the committee?
sure. Member Millet?
Yes.
Member Caleros?
Yes.
Member Scariglia?
Yes.
Member Adamopoulos?
Yes.
Member Siddiqui?
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you to the committee for entrusting me in serving our committee as chair again. I'm happy to have been doing it. Would have been happy to see someone else take the torch, but happy to continue in this leadership role for another year. And maybe next year we'll have another person that wants to take the torch. And the next role is that of vice chair. Anyone like to express an interest in this or offer a nomination for that role of vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Nick Adamopoulos as vice chair.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Mrs. Perangeli, would you please poll the committee?
Sure. Member Millet?
Yes.
Member Caleros?
Yes.
Member Scariglia?
Yes.
Member Adamopoulos?
Yes.
Member Siddiqui?
Yes. Motion passes. And the next role is that of secretary. Is there any one that would like to be either nominated or make a nomination for the role of secretary?
Through the chair,
Member Adamopoulos?
and make a nomination that Ms. Millet be the secretary going into the next year.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Mrs. Perangeli, would you please poll the committee?
Member Millet?
Yes.
Member Caleros?
Yes.
Member Scariglia?
Yes.
Member Adamopoulos?
Yes.
Member Siddiqui? Chair Siddiqui?
Yes, motion passes. So just as a summary, we will move forward with Kelly Siddiqui as chair, Nicholas Adamopoulos as vice chair, and Linda Millet as secretary. So thank you all for that. The next item on the agenda under old business is discussion and approval of the revised FY 26 budget.
Hi, thank you. As you know, we had previously approved a budget in the amount of $27,737,389, which represented a 3.65% budget that we were put forward to the town. The school department did receive an additional 38,365, which will bring our budget total to $27,775,754. We added that 38,365 to the salary contingency line that we had for negotiations, if you remember, that we had in the budget. So there is a need to have that money there. That would have brought that individual line item up to $627,976. So as you know, we need to go into town meeting with an approved budget. So I'm looking for the committee to approve a budget totaling $27,775,754. Are there
Thank
any
you.
questions?
Any questions from the committee about this revised budget? No. Okay. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve this budget as presented.
So moved.
Second,
There's a motion and a second. Mrs. Perangeli, would you please poll the committee?
Sure. Member Millet,
Yes.
Member Caleros,
Yes.
Member Scariglia,
yes.
Member Adamopoulos,
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui.
Yes. Motion passes. And moving right along here through this agenda, the next item on the agenda is the warrant article with regard to special education transportation.
Good evening. This is more for your awareness. As you know, we have brought to you previously a special ed deficit for transportation. We were hoping to absorb that in our operating budget. We had put a spending freeze on, I think back in January, to try and make up for that deficit. It was approximately $700,000, I believe. Unfortunately, we are unable to absorb all of that. So after reviewing our budget and our recent projections, we are hoping to absorb at least half of that projection. So this was previously being put forward by the town anticipating this. So we put a not to exceed $400,000. We'll know more hopefully as we get towards the end of the year, that we're hoping we don't have to use the whole $400,000. But to be safe going to town meeting, we are looking forward their approval to support the amount of free cash up to $400,000 to help offset this special ed transportation deficit. As you know, this has been building for a couple of years. We had it last year. We're continuing into it a little bit this year, and we're hoping to really stabilize in the upcoming year. We've certainly increased our budget quite a bit in transportation for next year. So we're hoping that'll cover, and we're hoping that we don't have to go back to town for any additional funds to support our transportation.
So Mrs. Perangeli, it sounds like you feel pretty confident that that number, that upper number of 400,000 would be enough to cover our needs.
Yes, and we're hoping not to have to utilize that after carefully looking multiple times at projections. Our goal would not to be use it all. We try to go back as little as possible. That's why we absorb it in our budget. But to be safe, I think we're comfortable with that.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments about this from the committee? No. Would you like a vote to approve this warrant article, or is this more of an informational and showing support for this warrant article?
I think it's more of informational and showing support for the article. I don't want anybody to ever feel caught off guard or not informed of why we're asking for more money. Normally, I would have brought it to you earlier for your approval to be from the school committee. But because of the timing of everything, we weren't able to do that and get it on. So you'll see in the guide, it says sponsored by the school superintendent. Typically, I would come to the committee and ask for the committee support for that, and it would be sponsored by this school committee. But it can be, an article can be put forward by a department head or anybody else. So we're within our legal obligation, but I think it's really important that the committee understands, you know, what we're asking for, why we're asking for it. The last thing we want is somebody coming up to say, you know, what are the school's needs? And you don't know anything about that. So.
Right. Okay. All right. Any further discussion with regard to this warrant article, focusing on special education transportation and the ask that we're making of the town? Although it's put forth by the superintendent, you know, it's a collective ask, so. All okay here? Okay. That is all for our agenda this evening. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. And Mrs. Perangeli, would you please pull the committee?
Would be happy to. Member Millet,
Yes.
Member Caleros,
Yes.
Member Scariglia,
Yes.
Member Adamopoulos,
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui.
Yes. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.